welcome to the Weekly Economic Snapshot. I'm here with Jon Jager, Manager of Air Service Development at Colorado Springs Airport. Jon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
So Jon, what goes into attracting air service to Colorado Springs?
Yeah, so we have to present these potential airlines the most persuasive business case that we can to have them invest a multi-million-dollar aircraft in Colorado Springs versus thousands of other places that they can put it. The largest part of the story is there actually needs to be demand in the market. So there needs to be a need for travel from Colorado Springs to whatever this out market is. The market should be sustainable year round. It shouldn't be terribly seasonal, meaning, hey, people are flying it in February just like they may in June, July, August as well. Attracting air service is also more than just the leisure type passengers. We'd love to be able to give information to these airlines that, hey, there are these big business links between Colorado Springs and the other side of this route as well. We don't want the airline to feel they're having to rely on one kind of subset of the population here, whether it's just the people that are traveling for leisure or those traveling for business.
So what is your main selling point for Colorado Springs when you approach an airline?
We have about 1.2 million people in our catchment area, which is just a big circle-ish around Colorado Springs, about 1 million in the closest 4 counties. We are the easy to use, low stress airport, for the service that we have. When I started working here at Colorado Springs, even before that, doing interviews up here, it was just amazing how quickly you could be from the curb to your gate or from the gate to your car, to your hotel, to wherever it is that you're going.
Yeah, that's certainly something I've appreciated as somebody who uses the airport. What have been some of the major changes that you've seen in the past several years?
If we go back in the Wayback Machine a little bit, we remember the turn of the century. We had Western Pacific as a hub carrier here. They flew everywhere. It was an enormous carrier here, and then they went out of business. And then we kind of tailed off in terms of air service for quite some time. Then in March of 2021, Southwest Airlines, right coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, they decided they were going to invest a lot of time in aircraft in Colorado Springs when they launched at the handful of markets to their big, they don't use hubs, but their big focus cities, Dallas, Denver, Phoenix, Vegas, and Chicago. So that's been interesting. They continue to grow. They continue to right size their capacity based on the market. But I think the most interesting thing to happen, at least in my tenure here, was that Colorado Springs has become an international airport finally. Back in June 2025, Southwest started flying to Cancun on Saturdays to test new things here in Colorado Springs. So we hope to get that market a little more support so that market stays with us here in Colorado Springs and opens up the world to Colorado Springs.
Are there any specific things that you're hoping to accomplish in the next year or so?
Yeah, so if you come to the airport, we have our route map posted kind of everywhere on all of the screens. If you go to our website, you see the places that we have service to it. You'll notice some really large kind of deserts, shall we say, service deserts. We don't have regular daily service anywhere on the West Coast right now. Los Angeles, up until very recently, was our largest travel market. So there were about 400 passengers a day flying between Colorado Springs and the Los Angeles Basin airports. They're just having to connect somewhere. They would much rather fly on a nonstop flight to LAX, to Burbank, to Ontario, one of the airports out there, thereby also opening the Pacific to them as well. Let's connect in Los Angeles and go to Japan. Let's go to Australia. We can do it out of one of those big airports. Bay Area, we don't have service. San Diego, actually, Southwest Airlines, they just started 5 times a week. So if you're going to deep Southern California, you have the ability to do that. Seattle, with the enormous aerospace defense tech sector business that we have here in Colorado Springs, it seems kind of natural to have a nonstop linkage up to Seattle. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do to enhance our business case to gain nonstop service to those big West Coast markets.
Well, as somebody who has family in California, that would be really great. Last time I was through the terminal, I could see the improvements you're making starting to take shape, and I thought it looked great. Where are things at with that, and how does that play into your ability to attract air service?
First, the construction is ongoing at the airport, and having come off of a flight just last night, actually, it's interesting to see. Every time I walk through the terminal, another section of the construction has been unveiled. So recently, we've unveiled the brand new fireplace at the end of the terminal by the Southwest and the American gates. It's really homey, nice, attractive looking giant fireplace out there. And also at that end of the terminal, we've just unveiled the Colorado Craft installation here at the airport in a little separate dining area. We know they have a shop downtown on Tejon Street as well. We have our Global Lounge Network Premium Lounge available now here in the airport as well. So those that, join with their club, they have the ability to get some free food and drinks before they fly, maybe get a little work done in there, which is something that has, most airports of any decent size have that ability. And we've been able to add all of these things by keeping costs at the airport down, which is one of the key metrics that airlines will look for when they're comparing two airports. If we have one airplane and we can fly to Colorado Springs or to another airport, where is it going to be more cost effective for me to operate from? If potential revenue is similar between airport 1 and 2, I'm going to fly to the one that has the lowest cost. So we've been able to keep costs down despite the construction that we have here. Also, we've just added our new art program. We have our little gallery right there by the TSA check-in area there. So stop by and have a look and see what some of the local artists are putting out there for us.
So I suppose the elephant or blue horse in the room is that you're 90 miles away from the 10th busiest airport in the world. How does that affect your strategy?
It is definitely that gorilla that hangs around my neck all day. Denver is an enormous airport, and two of our largest airlines here in Colorado Springs, both Southwest Airlines and United, have an enormous hub in Denver. So whereas you might be able to fly 8 or 10 destinations on Southwest out of Colorado Springs, you can reach probably 100 destinations on Southwest at Denver. So we're competing with people being willing to drive up to Denver and fly nonstop to LaGuardia in New York or fly to LAX. I don't quite agree with a lot of the reasoning. You have to drive to Denver. It's the airport, 75 minutes, pay to park, deal with the construction site that Denver is, and then deal with the hassle of Denver as well. I always joke that when people go to an airport, they tend to lose 10 or so IQ points just from the stress and pressure on them at the airport. We don't have that here. The issue with Denver is that our local Colorado Springs catchment area type passengers are more willing to deal with all of that and fly out of Denver rather than making a connection out of Colorado Springs. Understandable. Everyone likes the nonstop flight, right? However, if we don't use the flights that we have in a connecting fashion to get you to LA, maybe connecting in Phoenix or connecting in Denver or connecting in Vegas, the airlines are never going to see the pent-up demand for that nonstop service out of here, right? So they're seeing these passengers as Denver kind of point of origin passengers, as opposed to somebody that actually lives in Colorado Springs and is flying on that route.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting challenge. Is there anything else that you'd like people in Colorado Springs to know about the airport that they may not be aware of?
Well, the airport, we are seeking any and all feedback on potential need for new routes. With the Space Command moving to Huntsville, Alabama, that's a market that is screaming for nonstop service, with a lot of the functional divisions of the Space Force still going to be here in Colorado Springs, right? That's one of those markets that there is no actual data to make a business case for. However, it's logical that there will be need for that. I can't stress strongly enough that the folks that live here in Colorado Springs, anywhere from Castle Rock on down to Trinidad, they need to fly out of Colorado Springs. I've been saying at a lot of these speaking engagements that I've been involved in lately that we are going to lose the service if we don't use the service. This international flight to Cancun is in my ICU. I like to call it right now. It's heartbeat is slowing down because we have people that would rather drive to Denver and fly down on the days that they want to fly, as opposed to either doing it on Saturday out of Colorado Springs or fly from Colorado Springs to Denver to Cancun, to show that there is support for that market. Again, I'm big into the use it or lose it little kind of soundbite there. If we don't use the flights that we have, we're going to lose flights, and it's going to be incredibly hard to grow new service here because the major airlines that the people typically tend to fly, the Americans, the Uniteds, the Deltas of the world, we are not a hub airport for them. They will only fly to their hubs from here. Airlines like Southwest, like Breeze, like Frontier, like Avelo, they're more willing to fly these kind of non-traditional point-to-point routes. And if we don't support them, or if we don't support them and when they come in, we get to go to the bottom of the stack for their next flight. So that they won't listen to us as strongly as they would is if everything was operating really well from this airport.
Well, I can say from my experience, flying from Colorado Springs is a much lower stress experience, and really appreciate all the work that you're doing to help us be connected to the rest of the country and the world. Jon, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.